Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Join UF Hall of Famer and 14-year NFL vet Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts, or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. It's a live edition, a Tuesday edition of PodUp with Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center studios. Check them out, folks. Fine jewelry, watches, and much more. It's family owned and operated with the largest selection of natural diamond jewelry. We got a good show lined up today. We'll have Buddy Martin here in just a second. Then we'll have Kevin Brockway before he heads to San Fran. He's a Big Ten beat writer, so he can give us a lot of updates on the Maryland Terrapins. Tomorrow, not tomorrow, but Gators play Thursday. I think it's 7:39 tip against Maryland. We're going to have Kelly Ray Finley on tomorrow. Her team is still playing, and they play at 6 o'clock Thursday in the O'Connell Center against Texas Tech. Let's go to the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, and we are joined by the host of the Buddy Martin Show, the one and the only Buddy Martin. Good morning, buddy. How you doing?
What's up, Shane? I'm doing good, man. A little afterglow going on right now after that big win by the Gators. And I'd hate to be Kelly Ray Finley right now because you can't get any attention on women's basketball. And in a way, that's good for certain people like the baseball program, which doesn't really need the attention right now. A lot going on. I was just reading something a while ago. I don't know. It said you cannot be an everything school unless you won a national championship in 3 sports. Well, shoot, Florida ought to be, I'll be right up there with all the natties they got, especially in track, right?
Yeah. I mean, that's whoever made that comment. I mean, it's a given then. I mean, we won it in football, baseball, basketball, softball,
Right.
track, tennis, swimming over the years. I mean, I don't know if they're talking about you have to do it all in 1 year or what, but
No, nobody does it all 1 year.
yeah. Shooter McGavin on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, says we need an update on how Buddy's new TV is working.
Hey, I love his name, by the way. I wish I had Shooter McGavin for a name. It's working good. I know the Roku's work differently in different places. My Roku, in Panama City, and I'm in Ocala right now, is working great. I'm here in an Airbnb. They have a Roku. I haven't got a clue. It's different. They have different packages, etc. I love my TV, and I think it's going to be great. I'm going to be able to do all the things I want to do and watch all the things I want to watch. But you know what I'm doing, Shane? I have a little insurance policy. I'm going to get one of those deals where you have your own satellite, and I'm going to try to make that work. That way, you'll never have to worry about local Cox or whoever it may be. So my TV's doing fine. Thanks for asking, Shooter.
We got a text here that was sent last night on the Titan MR text line from Garrett. He says he sent a picture of this poster. He said this picture was hanging in my grandparents' house when I was a kid, and now it's in my son's room. Shane, I have to think that is supposed to be you in that picture because the picture's from the early 90s. It is. Believe it or not, Garrett, my son had this same poster or picture. It's of a little kid dressed up in Gator gear with a Gator room, laying on his bed, dreaming. And it's one of those bubble things coming out of his, when whatever they're called.
Right, I got you.
Yes, yeah, because unfortunately, I had to sign a release for them to use this back in the day. I didn't get paid. Today, I would have made a lot of money off this picture. But yep.
Well, Shane, wait, you didn't know you were going to be a Gator? You didn't even know about Steve Spurrier at
But that has
first.
nothing to do with it. This is why I was playing here, buddy.
Oh, okay, I got you.
So
All right.
I don't know if you can see it.
A little bit. Back it up. It's jumping
Well,
around.
it's because of my background. It's a
Yeah,
picture of a little kid laying on a bed in a Gator room,
right, right. It's the idea. Yeah,
and he's thinking about got to be a Gator, and it
yeah.
has me dropping back in the pocket.
Well,
So
that would be
anyway,
more my picture than yours. What's
okay,
that?
I'll text it to our great producer Zach.
Yeah, let's see that because Shane, that would be more my life than yours because I was dreaming of becoming a Gator back in the day.
No, I did
But
not dream of being a Gator.
yeah, so anyway,
So anyway, all right, buddy. Basketball Thursday night.
yeah, yeah.
What are
How
your
about it?
thoughts on the UConn game before we move to Maryland?
Well, I got so many because it's so many things happen. I've gone back over, I'll rewatch the highlights. I've watched the plays, I've read the stories. I can't get enough of there's so many plays. We talked about them last night on my show. We talked about Walter Clayton's unbelievable finish he had. But I go back to Elijah Martin and especially ripping on that rebound, that putback he got. That was and Billy said, I mean Billy, and Todd said later that was those were the defining plays that were made by him. He really lifted that team up at the right moment. I think that was a game changer. It turns out that Walter's basket was certainly big, huge. I mean, that wasn't even a great shot he got off, and he nailed it at a time when they needed it. And a lot of people like me were saying with 4 minutes to go, where are you, Walter? Where are you, Walter? Where are you, Walter? Well, he answered that question for sure with 3 buckets down the stretch. So there's so many good moments to savor in that. Florida, I don't know what to expect out of Maryland. Probably, won't be any. They're 6.5 point favorites, by the way. Florida should win that game, but hey, right now, every game is a challenge, and you could be out before you know it. So we'll see. I don't like the fact that it's being played on the West Coast, but that's what it is. I don't like the fact it's on True TV. I'm trying to be challenged to try to find it around here in this Airbnb. But it is what it is, and it's great to be in the Sweet 16.
Yes, it is. J&J Trucking has a question for you, buddy. This is brought to you by Quality Plumbing. He says, buddy, you have been following Florida for a long time. Do you ever remember seeing a basketball team that's so unselfish and they seem to love each other so much?
They are unselfish. I will say that, and I can't say it being on the inside. I mean, the Billy's teams were pretty good that way, but they set a great example for they play for each other. Shane, you've been on teams. People talk that talk a lot. The fact is, there's all kind of factions on a team where guys don't particularly even like each other. It does look like they like each other and play for each other and are willing to step back and let somebody else have the spotlight if that's what it takes to win. So I think you're probably right. This is about as good. I do not recall anybody who's more unselfish. No.
Yeah. I still think Walter needs to shoot more, quite honestly. Shooter's question on YouTube brought to you by Quality Plumbing. QB, what are your thoughts on Todd Golden breaking the whiteboard at halftime during the Friday night game after an 11-0 run, 10.5 by Norfolk? I don't blame him. I would have broke more than the damn whiteboard.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
They should make some Todd Golden whiteboards for Gator fans to break when they get frustrated. Because if I'd have had one, I'd have broken it too.
Yeah. Kanye Ron says Maryland has a solid starting five, but not real deep. No, they don't have a whole lot of depth at all. Chad's question for you, buddy, on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel. Buddy, why does Clayton throw the ball in late in the game? Wouldn't we rather have him catching the ball and getting fouled instead of throwing it in? What are your thoughts?
I think it's a play. Sometimes it's better to have your guy bring the ball in and get the ball back. But there must be a reason that Todd Golden does it that way. I hadn't thought about it. Shane, what do you think?
Well, usually what happens is most teams do have their point guard inbound the ball because if you know they're going to foul, usually you throw it in a corner. They're coming to trap or foul there, then they can give it right back to the guy who inbounded the ball. And but anyway, that's different people do it different ways, but that's what we were doing right now.
I think the inbound plays have been really good.
At times. Text on the Titan MR text line from Tom. He says, Shane, what are your thoughts on Todd losing both his offense and defensive coordinator? We'll talk with Kevin Brockway about this a little bit. Anytime you have success, you're going to lose coaches. He's losing two really good coaches, really young coaches, one to Campbell and one to Columbia. Our offensive guy I've been amazed at our spacing and our design of some of our stuff that we've done offensively, our sets, and we'll miss him, I'm sure. I don't know who he's going to hire, but I think we'll miss him for sure.
Part of the game. What happens? You win, you're successful, you lose coaches.
David's question on Facebook, on YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, is the coach's ability to bring out team and endorsement of Strickland's picks. I don't know what that means.
Yeah.
All right. All right, buddy. So looking towards Maryland.
Yeah.
I don't know if you know much about Maryland.
Derek Queen.
Yeah, here's what's crazy is he played his high school ball at Montverde Academy down there in the Claremont area.
Yeah, right.
Do you know who else was on that team?
Handloading?
No Gators. Cooper Flagg was on the team.
Oh, really?
There was all five starters are playing in the NCAA tournament. But again,
Wow.
that's a school that recruits people
they
from
do.
around the world, America, to come play there.
Yeah.
Buddy, you could coach that team and win.
I could play that team, Shane. Don't put my coaching down.
Well, I'm just saying, hell, you could go coach at Montverde Academy with those players and win a state title, but I don't think they're part of the
I hear you.
state deal. Barone says he's not worried about losing coordinators in basketball compared to football. I don't know now.
I agree with him on that.
I don't.
Well, you think the defensive coordinator of basketball team is more important than the defensive coordinator of the football team?
I think they're equally important because
Really?
it's their sport.
Yeah. Who was Billy's defensive coordinator? Nobody knows.
Larry Shyatt, I think.
Well, he was there for a while. Yeah.
Yeah. He went and hired him because we couldn't play defense.
Yeah.
Whenever Meyer wanted to introduce his high quality tequila into the Gator Nation, he made sure to get it to the HBC and his team at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill and Dorn's Liquors. Go beyond with smooth Los Landeros tequila. We got Buddy Martin on the Titan MR hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Well, Kevin Brockway, he'll break it all down for us. What's going on?
Yeah, I got Kevin
on
tomorrow.
San
I'm excited about that too. And I wanted to say to you, by the way, Shane, guess where I'm eating tonight?
Where you are eating tonight?
Spurrier's Gridiron Grill.
Oh, buddy, are you eating with the head ball coach?
No, I don't think I don't know if he'll be there or not.
You think he'll buy your dinner?
No, but
No.
Freddie maybe might.
No chance in hell that would happen.
No, not happen. But I tell you what I do. We're going to be up. Jeffrey Melton's there. He'll be there. My buddy Carswell Ponder will be there. We have the large group. Tom Inger will be there. My wife will be there. We're going to have we're doing the podcast with Jeffrey.
Oh, great.
2:00, and then we're doing having a little dinner at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Looking forward to it. However, Shane, given that I had 2 teeth taken out yesterday, what should I eat?
Soup, I guess. I don't know.
Mashed potatoes and gravy.
There you go. There you go. All right. So everybody's chiming in about Montverde Academy. Cooper Flagg, Asa Newell, who's at Georgia, McNeely, who's at UConn. We just played him.
Yeah.
And Derek Queen, and then the point guard played for Michigan State, I think, this year. So what a starting five.
Really.
Yeah, for sure.
Shane, you know what I'm kind of ticked off about? I'm sure you won't be, but the way the handling of this whole issue of what happened to Dan Hurley, what he said, what was recorded by a local TV guy there, and the fact they put it on the air, and the fact that it came out, his comments were about the effing calls by the referee. And the UConn people tried to bury that. They threatened to ruin him if he didn't take it down. And like, this is America. You're there. It isn't like they went out and put a microphone in his office, or he said it in a public place, and they don't want him to use it. They said, well, the guy shouldn't have been over there. He's in the wrong place, and whatever. And the SID, I think his name was Bobby Mullen, his name is. He said, well, we're going to ruin that guy. What kind of remark is that by an SID to the school? So they're going to ruin somebody because somebody reported something that actually happened, and he didn't. They don't like it. I'm sorry you don't like it. They didn't like Hurley hadn't done this a bunch of times, and he's a foul mouth, loud mouth guy who makes these kind of remarks. What it caught up to him, and why shouldn't a guy who's there and hears it and has it use it? Because it's in a public place. So these SIDs, these schools, have got to get over the idea they're going to take retribution on somebody because they don't like what they wrote, what they said, or what they reported. That's this America, folks. We don't do it that way.
All right.
It's my 2 cents worth.
Text on the Titan More text line from Chris and Mayaka says, how many SEC teams will make it to the Elite Eight? I think Ole Miss, Tennessee, Arkansas will lose in the round of 16.
But you had 4, right?
I have 4 in the final 4. I literally took me less than a minute to pick out my entire bracket. I can't even log back in. I already forgot my password. I thought I saved it, but I didn't. So I'll find out how I do. But I had Florida, Auburn,
Oh,
Tennessee, and Alabama all in the final 4.
I
So
think both of you had 4 on my show, I believe.
could easily happen. Arkansas is playing good basketball right now. They're winning somehow. Tennessee has to play Kentucky. They've lost to Kentucky both times this year. You know, it's the old saying, it's hard to beat a team 3 times in a year. I don't know if Kentucky can or not. We'll find out. I don't even know how Ole Miss plays. I don't have it in front of me.
Well, great coaching job by Calipari, by the way, Arkansas. I mean, he might be doing as good as anybody right now, other than Todd Golden, who probably won't get Coach of the Year, but should. How good is this guy, Shane? I mean, we don't even know yet. He's still young. He's got his team so well prepared. However, there were a couple times when Harley schooled him on a few things. What do you think he learned in that game by coaching against Hurley?
I think Todd's a brilliant coach. But I think Dan Hurley's the best coach in college basketball right now. I don't like the way he acts or whines or whatever, but he's clearly the best coach. I'm sure Todd can go back once to see. I don't think he's really worried about it right now. Maybe when the season's over, he'll go back and study UConn. I mean, UConn runs offense that people don't see. It's a very complicated but simple offense, kind of like a Steve Spurrier offense. But look, UConn is an animal. I said it on your show last night. UConn is the premier basketball program in America right now. It ain't Duke. It's UConn, and there's no argument there. So, you know, it was great that we beat them, but I think Todd, it will make him a better coach moving forward.
I agree.
And
Yeah.
I mean, he's young, but he ain't worried about UConn anymore. That is over
I'm
with,
saying
and
in a
they are
negative
focused
way.
on Maryland.
I was saying it in a way like that's not negative. He learned coaching against a great coach, and even though I don't like him, he is a great coach. By the way, he's sitting at home, however, now didn't get it done, and
Well, he didn't have the same team as he had last year, and like I said, they lost 10 games this year. They had a lot of injuries, but UConn ain't going anywhere.
did you see the post game comments he made on the interview? It was
No, I
interesting.
didn't watch it.
Well, it's important because you could hear his resignation in his voice about, you know what, this has not been a lot of fun for me. I'm paraphrasing. And he said, I shouldn't be out ringing the bell on Wall Street and throwing out first pitches. I should be out coaching. That's the track you go on, as you know, Shane. When you win a natty, a win or two, suddenly you're a celebrity. Suddenly you know all these things taking you away from the game, and then you're not coaching. So he says he'll be a lot happier not doing the other stuff.
Yeah. Andy's text on the Titan Mar text line says, Buddy, do you think NIL and the transfer portal is ruining the tournament for mid-major colleges?
I don't know.
I will say yes.
But yeah, because a lot of teams can't compete.
Well, because a lot of the mid-major stars are playing for the big boys now.
That's just how it is now.
I mean, let's talk about our best player, right? Iona. Let's talk about one of our second best players, Elijah Martin, FAU.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Will Richard, Belmont. I can go on and on and on. So
let me flip it around the other way. Do you think it's providing better opportunities for players? And yes, it
No, no,
is.
that's not the question. But buddy, if you're a mid-major coach
Of course.
and you recruit these kids, you basically get screwed because they're going to leave your program. Same thing's
Well,
happening with my man Kerwin Bell. Kerwin's recruited diamonds in the rough, and he's lost them to go be backups at Power Five, Power Four schools,
yeah.
and it's a shame. But that's the way of the
That's what
world
this is
today.
no different than football. Football's dealing with the same
Right.
thing.
But usually you get a lot of upsets in this tournament, and it won't happen much longer, in my opinion. Um,
Really. I think there will be.
we had one upset, I think, this year, and that was McNeese. And then McNeese got clobbered the next week because they don't have the athletes and they can't score. They just had that one game where they had the upset.
Colorado State should have won. That's too bad.
Yeah, but they're not
I know.
we call them a mid-major.
But they're not a big time program.
Barone says QB's correct. Right now, UConn is the premier program. Duke needs to win it all to get back to that level. After that, college basketball has a lot of top second-tier programs in this era. I agree. Barone also says NIL hurts the mid-majors, but helps their players get better scholarship offers after proving their skills at the smaller schools. That's
Better
true.
for players. It's better for the game we got. That's the hand we're dealt. That's the game today. You got to deal
All
with
right.
it.
Buddy, this text is from Jonathan. He wants to know your thoughts on what's wrong with Gator baseball.
I'm not going to fall for this trap. I did it last time, and you got me run out of town. When I said they were not a league program anymore. I'm not saying it weren't. They're going through a rough patch right now. It's the pitching. Their pitchers are injured, and they're not hitting the ball either, Shane. I don't know what's going. I would. Yeah, I would have taken any kind of odds you want to give it. They would not have been 0 and this is 0 and 5
Oh,
in
and
the
6.
SEC. 0 and 6 in the SEC. I don't know what's going on there. I haven't had a chance to watch them that much, but to me, it certainly is uncharacteristic of some of these teams. I think he'll bring them back. Whether he'll bring them back enough to get to Omaha, I don't know. But I guess it's a cycle, Shane. It's too bad because I thought they were picked ninth in the country. To have the top 25 come out like they did yesterday and have no Florida Gators in the top 25, that looks weird.
Yeah, it does. Real quick, JB says on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel Law, Shire and Pearl the best, in my opinion. Duke still gets the players they want, and I would still call them the premier team, but they're not. If you look at the last 25 years, UConn has way more national titles than
Yeah.
Duke.
Well, look at the last 2 years.
Right, but they have them. They beat us in, I think, 2000 for the national title.
I think they're 0-4, weren't they, against UConn, weren't they?
Yeah, I don't know, but I am about 100% sure in the last 25 years that UConn has won more national titles in basketball than anybody. But I could be wrong. I'm wrong a lot.
Somebody there, Andy, or somebody will check.
Somebody look it up because I'm pretty confident on this.
Yeah. I think they were 0-4.
Duke has not even won close to the national titles that Duke has won in recent time.
Yeah. What does it take to make you a blue blood anymore? Who are you?
I don't know. I mean, the blue bloods are the old timers, I guess. But like I said, I have no allegiance to UConn. I could care less about UConn. But the facts are UConn is the premier basketball team. People still think Duke because of Coach K, but Coach K didn't win a whole lot of national titles.
No, he didn't. You're right.
No. This day in sports brought to you by Campus USA Credit Union. Puts the star power to work in your financial life. Campus USA Credit Union. 1961 NCAA basketball championship. Buddy, you may have been there. Cincinnati beats Ohio State 70-65. The Buckeyes future Hall of Fame forward Jerry Lucas is your most outstanding player for the second straight year.
What did Jerry Lucas do that nobody had ever done before that was so unique? Jerry Lucas memorized the New York City phone book. How you like that? Memorized it because he recited it to you.
Why?
Yeah. I don't know because he could, I guess. Yeah. That was quite a team. I was not there. I was at a few others, though, the Georgetown game and the Villanova game. I saw quite a few really good. But I listen. Here's one for you. Franz Beard said he looked at an old picture there in North Carolina and up at the table and saw a picture of himself sitting back in the day when he had bell bottoms and whiskers and long hair or whatever. I can go back a little ways. I can go back to Houston in the year that UCLA played Houston. They had Elvin Hayes versus Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. I was at that game in Houston. Amazing. And then, of course, the rematch was won by UCLA whenever Houston upset. So, no, I mean, I've enjoyed the Final Four. I've seen some good ones over the years. And I still say the best so-called double in sports writing, when you go back to back to back, is leaving the Final Four and taking the plane to Augusta and getting off in Augusta where the grass is green and going to see the Masters. It's coming up soon, Shane.
Mm-hmm. Got a lot of people chiming in about Duke. Coach K won 5 titles, but I think UConn has more than 5. I am about 100% sure they have at least 6. I think they've won more than Duke. Somebody look that up.
You got a crack research staff there. Use them.
I know. So nothing against Duke. Duke's a fine program, but I think UConn has surpassed them personally. UConn has won more titles than Duke. That's what I thought.
Right, Shane.
Yes, and they've been in recent since like 2000.
What was the most famous play in history? Christian Laettner?
You talking about the inbound play?
Yeah, where Christian Laettner made
That's
the
one
famous
of them.
play.
Yeah,
I was there for that game, matter of fact. Vern Lundquist on the call.
One of my high school teammates played for Kentucky in that game.
Really?
Yeah,
Who?
Dale Brown. He was on
yeah?
the court on that play.
Yeah. Hey, were you a good basketball player in high school?
I was a really good shooter, buddy. I didn't get my basketball team was so good I couldn't even get on the floor. I was like the 6th man because all 5 of them signed Division I. 3 of them played in the NBA.
Wow.
So
all from Mississippi?
Oh, they were
Yeah.
they were loaded. We were loaded for sure.
Who was the most famous player from it? Bailey Howell?
From Mississippi?
Oh, for the state of Mississippi.
For basketball?
Yeah.
I'd say Chris Jackson.
Chris Jackson. He was a great player with the Nuggets.
Yeah, he was in my my district. So
can you pronounce his other name?
Yeah, Mahmoud Abdul-Rauf.
There you go. Did you know it?
Yeah, we graduated the same year.
Okay, he had that terrible affliction where he was always doing this.
Tourette's syndrome.
Yeah, and the unfortunate thing about him was he was a great player in Denver. He got on the wrong side of the people there when he stopped standing for the national anthem.
Yeah.
They wanted him out of town.
Yeah, he was always a different dude, but he had Tourette's in high school, but boy, he I never seen anybody like him in my life.
Very shooter, as good as there was.
Yes, he was. All right, buddy, who's on your program tonight?
Well, tonight it's the guys are taking the bird. Let me have a night off tonight to go to Spurrier's tonight. So
get the tomahawk pork chop, buddy. It's the best thing you'll ever put in your mouth.
I can't chew, Shane.
Tell Freddie to go put it in a blender for you.
Blender, that's a good idea. Or put it in a doggy bag, eat it 3 days later, right?
Yeah. All right. So Barone, thank you, Barone. UConn has won 6 titles: 99, 04, 11, 14, 23, and 24. That's more than Duke.
Wow.
That's my point.
All right. Yeah. Check out Loren Meadows tonight. Rob Brown, they'll be on regular time. And looking forward to their program. And I'll have some good guests for you. So back tomorrow night with Allie Peak Wilbur. And I'll have your friend Kevin Brockway tomorrow night. So
all right. Have a good day, buddy. Enjoy
you too, Shane. Thank you.
Your soup tonight. That's Buddy Martin joining us on the Titan Tomorrow Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. Take a quick time out. Come back. We'll be joined by Gainesville Sun's Kevin Brockway, who loves basketball. We'll get his thoughts on this Maryland Gator matchup. You're watching
Miami.
With
our premium sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union,
International Diamond Center,
Meldon Law, QC Kinetics, Dave & Buster's, UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine Institute, JF Hayden Craft Liqueurs, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Los Linderos Tequila. Gridiron sponsors are Baker Sporting Goods, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Ruse Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteak, Celebrate Primary Care, Dowling Signs, and A Wealth Management. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple or Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss an episode. To become a sponsor, call my man Freddie at 352-284-3733.
Pro Football legend Emmitt Smith understands your joint pain.
It does not surprise me that there are a ton of people out there that's in pain.
That's why Emmitt is such a proponent of QC Kinetics, offering real lasting joint pain relief with non-surgical, all-natural biologic treatments.
Whether it's a joint pain, ankle pain, shoulder pain, neck pain, back pain, hip pain, any kind of pain, the body eventually will break down when it's under that much stress.
That stress can cloud your judgment to the point that you'll just say yes to the scalpel or yes to another prescription of pain pills. But maybe it's time for a second opinion from QC Kinetics.
The reason why I would recommend this is because the natural biologics that QC Kinetics is providing you gives your body a chance to naturally heal itself.
Restorative, regenerative solutions are here. Get lasting relief and live your life.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. That's 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Ruse Ogre State Farm offers a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. Visitogreinsurance.com. Give them a call, 352-240-1779. We're going to go back to the Titan number hotline courtesy of Comfort 10. We're joined by the Gainesville Sun's Kevin Brockway. What's up, Kev? How you doing, man?
Good morning. Yeah, just ready for another flight out to San Francisco. Should be interesting.
Are you leaving
Have
today?
you ever been out there? Have you ever played the 49ers or the Raiders in your career? Or no?
Oh, yeah, multiple times. But the beauty is we fly in, sleep, get up, play the game, fly home. So I don't mess around in California too often. Kevin, before we jump into it, we got a great discussion going on here. JB's telling me I said UConn is the premier basketball program in the last 25 years in America. They've won more national titles. He said Duke, and now he's saying he'd put Connecticut over UConn. I would not. I mean, Kentucky's won maybe 2 national titles in the last 25 years.
Yeah. No, I think one. I think the only one they got was 2012.
Yeah.
So 98 and 2012. Yeah. But I mean, so over the last 30 years, you could say 3 because 96, 98, and 2012. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that's the great thing. We can have this discussion at a later date, but
yeah.
All right, Kevin, you're a basketball guy. Boy, I thought Dan Hurley and his staff had a phenomenal plan against us. Thank goodness Walter took the game over at the end and we found a way to advance. But just your thoughts on how that game against UConn went.
Yeah, I totally agree. I thought Hurley's game plan, and he played the game at his pace most of the game. Florida couldn't get out and run. I thought very early in that game, Florida had an early turnover on the break, and then they got a little skittish. They didn't go back to it. They didn't try to push the tempo after that and kind of played into Hurley's hands. I mean, the 8 turnovers in the first half were really, certainly, I think kind of kept UConn in the game with all the missed shots. And in the second half, a lot of missed free throws too. But I kind of thought, Florida kind of hung around, and UConn wasn't going to be a team offensively that was going to really separate from you. So they kept it in that 4 to 6 point neighborhood. And then, Walter took over at the end and had some big hustle plays too on some of those missed free throws. You can't discount that. You can't discount Tommy Houck and Elijah Martin poking the ball away at different times that led to extra possessions that, basically made that a 3-point play with Clayton. Obviously when Condon missed the second free throw, then you're up 3, UConn misses, you go up 6. So that was a huge sequence right there late in the game, created a little separation. And, Florida's moving on. First Sweet 16 since 2017. And I'll tell you what, Maryland, when you look at their front line, I would say it doesn't get any easier.
It doesn't. And I know you follow basketball, obviously your years in the Big Ten. I don't even know if Maryland was in the Big Ten in those days. I think they were.
Yeah, they were.
Yep. but don't basketball, especially in the tournament, it's all about matchup, style of play. And I just feel like I know Maryland's starting five is very good. They can score a lot of points, but I think that plays right into our hands. Whereas like Colorado State, they kind of slow it down and run the clock and kind of lull you to. I just think this is a better matchup for us personally.
Yeah, a little bit. Here's the thing: Maryland's not very deep, so they rely a lot on their five starters. I mean, all five of their starters played 36 minutes in that game. Now, I mean, obviously there's going to be a layoff between games. You would almost rather it, be a quick turnaround in that regard. But at the same time, I think that's where Florida has the edge or depth. The fact that, you can bring a Tommy Houck, you can bring an Aberdeen off the bench. Hand logged in. Kalafsar hasn't played great, but he might have a game in him. And I think the bench production. I mean, Maryland's best player off the bench is a guy Geronimo, who I know I covered a little bit in Indiana. But other than that, they don't get really much bench production. I mean, they only had 2 bench points in that game against Colorado State. So I think that's an area where Florida has an edge. But Reese and Queen are really physical up front. They're going to be a handful, and Florida's front court's going to have to play a little better than they did against UConn because they didn't really get as much from them. I mean, I thought Chinyelu battled in there, but again, he got in foul trouble. But Micah Condon, Tommy Houck, they're going to be in for some, certainly some battles inside. They're going to have to box out. They're going to have to really, play at a high physical level. Certainly in this game for Florida to advance.
Yeah, I said on my show Monday, I thought Chinyelu was physical there, but I thought the physicality of the bigs of Connecticut really got after our other guys in the front court. And I agree with you. The good thing about it is, and I'm sure this is part of the plan, or it should be, and sometimes it doesn't always work out, but as you said, they're not deep. If there's any way we can just pound the ball inside and force Queen and the other guys to get in foul trouble, that will definitely help this Gator team as the game moves on. Don't they have a tremendous point guard? And they're going to be a great matchup with him and Walter Clayton.
Gillespie, yeah, he's pretty good. I would say I wouldn't say tremendous, but above average point guard. So I think that's going to be an interesting matchup as well. Like I said, their starters are very strong. I just think the question is the depth in this game. But I think if Florida can, kind of again get the game going a little more up and down too, but play in control. I think that's been a little bit of an issue in the tournament so far. I mean, they've had 12 turnovers in each of the first 2 games. What they've been very fortunate in those turnovers is, especially with UConn, it hurt them a little more with Norfolk State in terms of they've done a good job at least getting back on transition defense and not allowing those turnovers to be costly in terms of points off turnovers. I think they've only given up 9 points off turnovers as an average in those 2 games. So I think that, you got to give at least a little bit of credit to Florida that when they are turning the ball over, they're getting back on defense and not letting it affect them on that end of the floor.
Florida Cracker is the brand for original Floridians, great food and Southern hospitality in the center of the universe, Brooksville, Florida, floridacracker.com. We got Kevin Brockway on the Titan More hotline, courtesy of Comfort Town. Text here from Daryl on the Titan More text line. Kevin, of all the SEC teams left in the tournament, who are you surprised is still alive? To me, he says to him it's Arkansas. He thinks Boogie Flang coming back has given them a spark.
Yeah, and I would say Ole Miss too is a little bit of a surprise. And I didn't think, watching them in the SEC tournament, I didn't think Kentucky was going to make it to the second weekend. But I guess getting the point guard Lamont Butler back has made a huge difference for them. And how about that for a Sweet 16 matchup? Huh? Kentucky, Tennessee. I think Kentucky's beat them twice. So one of those SEC teams is going to go down in Indy, and that's going to be interesting. And also kudos to Dusty May, the former Florida assistant, getting Michigan to the Sweet 16. I mean, listen, he brought in some of his own guys, and I know in the transfer portal it can be quicker, but it's still very hard your first year in any program, to make that kind of an impact and that kind of a jump and kind of teach your culture and your system to a team. And so for Dusty to do that, I mean, you look at Todd Golden's first year, they were 16 and 17. So it's not always easy to come into a situation and, turn it around that quickly.
Kevin's text on the Titanmar text line. Good morning, guys. Colorado State was getting offensive rebounds pretty easily against Maryland. Is that going to be a factor in the game?
Yeah, well, certainly. I mean, if Florida crashes the offensive boards, they've done a good job of that the first two games. I think where Florida has, shown a little bit of vulnerability in the first two tournament games is protecting the defensive boards. But Florida has continued to be very good on the offensive boards, and as a result of that, they have out-rebounded their first two opponents, and they have outscored them in second-chance points. But not by as big a margin because they're surrendering some offensive boards. So I think that, Florida can continue to crash the boards well. That will serve them well on the offensive end, but they're going to have to shore up the defensive end of that equation too, in order to, you could create a bigger margin that way, because it's always good to get those second chance point opportunities, but also to finish off a defensive possession with one shot. And that's an area where Florida hasn't done as good a job in the tournament, I would say, as they've done in the regular season.
Yeah. Real quick, Greg, you didn't listen to the conversation we had earlier. We said in the last 25 years, UConn has more national titles than any of those people that you mentioned. We know UCLA and Kentucky and Duke and North Carolina have a ton, but in the last 25 years, it's Connecticut.
Yeah, that sparks the interesting debate, Shane. Is UConn a blue blood, or are they what you would call nouveau riche? That's what some people call them, because you didn't win those titles back in the day.
Well, I think they're the premier basketball program in America the last 25 years, because they have more titles, and they did it with 3 or 4 different coaches. Duke is Duke, but UConn's won more titles than them. If you want to talk about titles, it's UConn. And I think that was why this was a huge win for the Gators, obviously, to advance. But regardless, UConn had 10 losses. They had some injuries throughout the year, but this dude can coach, and he's got really good players. And it was a huge win for the Gators. But in my opinion, Connecticut is the premier program in America right now, in my opinion. Yeah, because of their winning.
I think it gets enhanced too by the women's program too, and the combination, and the fact that you have Gino there and everything, and it's just a basketball state in that regard. Having both the men and the women firing like that, you don't see that at really many, right? Because you look at LSU, their men's program is struggling. You look at South Carolina, their men's program is struggling. I mean, UConn really has it all in that regard if you're a basketball fan in that state. And Hurley is tremendous, but he is a little bit of a loose cannon. He's got the histrionics. I'm sure you saw the thing also when he was going back in the locker room, and the UConn SID threatened the reporter to take it down, but he held his ground to his credit. And that's just I think he even admitted in one of the press conferences. I mean, he was tremendous in the press conference. He also has a very good, close relation with Billy Donovan, something I wrote about. But he talked about, if it wasn't for some of my antics, I think he's self-aware that, his teammates would get more of a credit during this run. But it was an incredible run for UConn, and an incredible achievement for Florida to take them down, even though they were an 8 seed, and even though they were a team that wasn't necessarily as talented or deep as his previous 2 teams. It was you're still facing Bobby Hurley, and the fact that Florida did it and stayed the course is a big credit to them moving up.
Yeah, JB, we can agree to disagree. The last 25 years, it's a fact. Connecticut has more national titles than your Duke team and your Kentucky teams and those teams. That's a fact. It's a fact.
Yeah.
Okay. Yep. It's not because I'm correct about women's basketball. It's a fact. Kevin, text here from Jimmy on the Titanmar text line wants to know, Kevin, what are the keys to Gator victory against Maryland?
Yeah, being physical, taking care of the basketball. It'd be nice to make your free throws a little bit, right? That would be something. But I like the guard matchup, and I think they're going to go in there and like I said, I think there's always a little bit of an adjustment period going to a new gym. So I don't think you can necessarily bank on or rely on the threes in the first game, but I think they'll make enough, certainly in that situation. But I think, Florida showed against UConn, Florida showed they could win a tough game. Listen, it's not going to be, Florida was on this incredible run where they were scoring 90 a game their first 7 games. It's just not going to be that way in the tournament. You're going to have some games where you're going to have to grind it out. And I think this is the kind of game that's going to serve them well going forward. But I do, like I said, physicality is going to have to be there. The execution is going to have to be there. Try to, Walter Clayton, I mean, look, he's been a terrific scorer, obviously, and he's been a huge share in this tournament, 23 a game. But as a pure point guard, the assist to turnover ratio right now is 3-9. That's got to get a little bit better in that regard, like that execution piece of it, in terms of that. And if that flips around the next two games, then Florida's really going to be dangerous.
Here's a text from Sean on the Titan MR text line. He wants to know your thoughts on Sean Miller going to Texas.
Yeah, did not like that. But turning your back on Xavier again after they gave you another chance. I really thought that would have been, quite a landing spot for Billy Donovan if, things didn't work out with the Bulls this year. They mutually decided to parting ways. But I guess I think Billy is still happy in the NBA, and that's where he wants to be. And maybe he made that clear through, secondary circles. Because I can't think that they wouldn't at least entertain that notion. And I think he would have been an amazing fit there. But Sean Miller will go there. And listen, NIL, it's all legal now. So, you don't have to worry the same thing about Will Wade going to North Carolina State. And Sean Miller is a good floor coach, good X's and O's coach. So I think it'll be, it'll be, another, tough matchup in the SEC. There's a lot of rumblings about Porter Moser too, that he might go to Villanova. And if that's the case, then Oklahoma would spring open again. So another SEC program would spring open again.
Kellen Sampson back.
Who knows? Yeah. So a lot of these, like I said, but a lot of these SEC programs went for the name, obviously, and that's why Todd is where he is salary-wise, I think, too. Although he'll be due for a bump, but Florida, listen, they went with the up and comer and Todd Golden, and it's worked out in terms of what they've done, and now you're seeing Todd lose guys. Obviously, Kevin Hovde's going to Columbia, John Anderchak is going to Campbell. So he's starting to, lose guys from his tree, and those will be interesting. And Hovde has been, really instrumental in the offense. I did a story on that, on what kind of makes that offense go. So he's going to have to make a good hire there in terms of, maintaining that high level of offense. But congrats to Kevin Hovde and John Anderchak, and they're going to stay, obviously, through the rest of the tournament, so there's not going to be an impact there.
Yeah, I mean, we talked about that earlier with Buddy. He's like, well, it's not like losing your offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator in football. I was like, yeah, it is, because John he is in charge of the offense, and we run such good stuff offensively. It'll be interesting to see who Todd puts in that spot or who he hires. I just lost my train of thought. I had another question for you, Kevin, that I had to ask you. I know what it was. It was about Billy Donovan. Why I mean, people really think Billy still wants to go coach college basketball. Why would he want to, at his age and with the success he's had, have to deal with losing players and paying players and all that kind of stuff?
Well, I think his frustration back in 2015 was, and obviously because of Calipari, I don't think his frustration was necessarily in the paying players aspect as much as losing players to other programs. And now he would have that power in terms of NIL, especially in a place like Texas, but I do think that, he was growing, weary of some of the other off the court stuff. And I think he likes the idea of it being just basketball. But I just, I wonder about his time in Chicago too. I mean, it's not going great there, obviously. I mean, they might squeeze into the play-in round this year. I mean, his contract is through 2026. I think he's been a good soldier there in terms of, not complaining about personnel, but I've heard privately that, he isn't really happy with, in terms, or maybe was sold the bill of goods in terms of the players they were going to get and the players they have. But it'll be, like I said, I think this Texas thing kind of does reaffirm, though, that he is happy in the NBA and that he wants to give it a shot and see if, things can turn for him in the next year or two, or, wherever he lands after Chicago, if it doesn't work out for him in Chicago.
All right. So looking at the Sweet 16, you see any surprises moving to the Elite Eight?
I don't know. Like, I'm not 100% sold on Houston. I mean, they did have a big win against Gonzaga. I kind of, my bracket's doing well, by the way, not that people really care, but I still believe that there's going to be 3 SEC teams in the Final Four, and I think it's going to be Florida, Auburn, and Tennessee. I think those 3 teams are going to make it with Duke. And could Michigan, advance? Yeah, I mean that's a possibility because you can't discount Dusty as a coach. He's been there and done that.
For some reason, I think Alabama can beat Duke.
I've never liked Alabama defensively.
Well,
I just think I think Duke. I got a chance to watch Duke up close. Cooper Flagg is the real deal. I mean, 6'9" guy can handle, can pass. He's healthy now. I mean, they just looked and they dispatched a Baylor team that is pretty good with a coach in Scott Drew, very similar to Dan Hurley, that has won a national championship. And they didn't have any trouble at all. So they, to me, still look like the best team in the tournament. So I don't see anyone getting past Duke in New Jersey.
Yeah, you're probably right there. Kevin, when's your flight out, buddy?
1 in the afternoon. I'm going out of Tampa. I'm in Orlando now, so I'm going to shoot over there and right after this podcast, and it should be a fun time. First time to the city by the bay. I've been to I've crossed off a lot of the other West Coast cities. I've been to Portland, Seattle, LA, San Diego, but never been to the Bay Area. So I'm looking forward to it.
All right. Well, be safe. Have a good trip, and hopefully the Gators advance. And we'll talk to you when you get back, my man.
Sounds good, buddy. Bye-bye.
That's Kevin Brockway from the Gainesville Sun. Join us on the Titan Number Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. The Pouncey Twins provide all of Gator Nation with the highest quality liqueurs made by J.F. Hayden Craft Liqueurs. Find your favorite flavors at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Tomorrow, we'll have JC. We'll get his Sweet 16 picks. Also do our golf picks, our Peachland Dental picks. I know y'all are excited for those. And then we'll have Kelly Ray Finley on, as well as her Lady Gators will face Texas Tech in the O'Connell Center, 6 o'clock on Thursday, to see if they advance as well. Victorious Pride NIL partner of the Florida Gators joined today to help Florida victorious. Have a great day, folks. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.